Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing more mainly green-black, but we're splashing in red to make it Jund, with basically continuing on what we did with Thalia previously in another video, but we're going to add some Jund cards instead, using Descendant Dragon to make that value a lot more relevant and easy to obtain. With the adventure side, exile 2 cards from target opponent's library face down. You may look at them and play those. We had this come up incredibly important in a specific matchup that you'll see in today's video. And Soul of Windgrace, this didn't come up too much, so don't be looking out for that as much as you might hope it does. However, the synergy with it, Blossoming Tortoise, and Liliana just can't be overlooked if you're playing Jund with our 26 lands, with like these being creatures and whatnot. So if we get hit with Besages and stuff like that, or we find ourselves cycling talking to Marbasage ourselves, we can have Soul Windgrace bring it back. Plus, it's pretty good to eliminate land and mana flood by discarding it and drawing cards. Other than that, there's a lot going on in the deck, so we're just going to hop into the games to see how they go. And if you enjoy, please be sure to subscribe. Other than that, I hope you do enjoy the video. Okay, I kept my starter. How we all know. Playing in the Restless Cottage. All that happened is I played this. Played King's Tower, and I almost died. That was quick. So we'll play Black Cliffs. We'll just jam this in. With a nose up there. Esper. Midrange, maybe. Actually, Flesh Warrior, a card we don't care about all too much. Only an artifact. Just sick if that worked. Move into combat. Attack. Get hit with nothing. And we'll draw a card, lose a life. Find a Shieldred, which will be a great answer to this. We don't actually have to target. Let's get a Graveyard Trespasser down. One of Shelly coming in clutch. Following turn, hopefully here. Attack with 3. What's their plan? They have a plan. They're going to clear the board. They have a lot going on. We might have a lot going on. End Glissa. That sucks. Not gonna lie. We only play 3, so they only get 2 and they get 1 from our hand. I think we redraw, correct? That player shuffle then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. So we lose the 1 in hand, but we will get the draw. Draw land. Not the worst thing in the world. We won't reveal it to our opponent. After we play Shieldred here, we want to make them sack their Flesh Gorger first and then attack with the Graveyard Trespasser, so we get to exile it and get 1 little extra damage in. It's small, but it matters. Although these two not really going to be working in tandem together, as Shieldred wants cards in their graveyard and Graveyard Trespasser is going to keep exiling them. This is a 4 or 5 minutes creature right now. I think we're fine. They play their own Graveyard Trespasser, which to us is actually kind of fine. Because Menace, they can't do much about it. So 4/4. What if we just crew this up and attack? I like that strategy. I can attack here. Won't give them value off creating my Graveyard Trespasser. Them down 8. There's no life to be gained unless they remove this Shieldred and then attack, but then we can attack back to 4. Also have the option to remove their creature, discard a card, attack with our Trespasser, eat some cards. Our creature still has Menace. Still have 2 mana. They attack first, trigger goes on a stack, nothing. We will not block. Alright, so we will go for the throat because they know about it. Do this, we'll discard the Copperline Gorge. This is an untap land, we'd leave it so we could cruise this up, but it's not. We let that go. Here's that. Move to combat. Attack for seemingly lethal. Eat Graveyard Trespasser. We'll just eat it. Could exile 2 cards, but we're not going. Each opponent sacrifice a non-token creature. What do we do here? I think we let this go, or do we let the... I think we leave the menace creature in play. Even though it can be targeted by a spell, having menace I think is all the more important. I would assume they're going to untap or they're going to remove our Shieldred. They knew about it. They didn't have removal for it though. Take 2. Could have something like a Takanuma in hand. They end up falling short. Little boop for the road. Ah, yes. Alright, well, we can keep this. Our opponent goes first. We have all tap lands. We have a cut down for early. We have a Virtue and then a Glissa to kind of come in and keep anything going on. We'll lead off with both Triumphs. I only play 2, so it's a little unfortunate that we have them both right now. But even if they're mono black deck, we'll actually get value out of our dragon here. I actually think could play like a Glissa or something, so I'm gonna hold up. It's not a Glissa, Graveyard Trespasser, so I'm gonna hold up a Shieldred Edict, or they're gonna play a Liliana and still get value out of our Shieldred. Make us discard. Each opponent sacks Planeswalker. We'll let. Would assume we need to let our cut down go. We haven't played anything early, so we can't imagine that anything late is going to be good. And it looks like we're playing against Sacrifice. Get another land in play here, and we can just do Descendant Dragon on their end step. I don't want to be super soft to another Liliana by just slamming the Glissa. There it goes. We will let Proving Ground go. We don't have Windgrace in our deck, so we're perfectly fine with kind of how this is playing out. Swamp involves Sleeper. That's a great draw from us. So we'll play their land. We'll play out a Glissa. We'll play their Evolved Sleeper. Now if they make a sack, they lose sleep. We just sacrifice Sleeper, and then we keep the Glissa around. Evolved Sleeper is yours.
I've always hated crowds.
Glissa's not gonna make it, but still gotta make them do it. They've been missing lands, and we stole one from them. Plus Nightmare. We let a land go. Rip a Go for the Throat. Play this. We'll play out the dragon. Make them minus again on their Liliana. Maybe they'll have a spot up removal and get to keep the Liliana around, which would be pretty bad for us. See it go. This third Liliana. No, it's a Shieldred. We'll go ahead and take the 2. Maybe we'll draw a Shieldred. We do not. Of course, we were talking about the 5-mana one that makes them sack. I didn't want to have to waste to go for the Throat, although it's not necessarily a waste per se. This land, we get an untapped land. We play this on its big side. I've already played 2 Lilianas, but they are mono black. They were called Gari. Oh, good rip off the top for us. We will probably go ahead and get this Shieldred out of the den, even though we had Virtue, but we don't have it now. I'm surprised we didn't see them put a stop on their upkeep, even though this kind of made it not matter, but they could have put a stop and sacrificed this to make sure they scry to. My dragon. Sure, we find a land. We hold back. Sucks. We'll flip this to a 4/4, make their attacks awkward. With 1 card in hand, definitely get to be a little bit more on the aggressive side. They go to combat, make another rat. Glissa. Take art. I mean, we're just gonna press forward here. You just can't block, and they only have a 3/3. Could have a Go for the Throat, of course. Does Restless Cottage care what it exiles? When create a few token exile target 1 card. Okay. doesn't really care. So we want to get the Braids out and the Evolved Sleeper. Then we want this to exile Liliana. Make a food, we can gain some life. We'll hold this just to see if they have like Duress or something, or maybe a way to make us want to discard. Or protect our hand from discards in the future. Though I guess we want to be able to play the top deck Virtue. So I'm going to actually play it. If we top deck Virtue of Persistence, we want to be able to actually look at the top, like just jam it. I thought I already had 7 mana in play previous turn, but I did not. Leave one on top. That's not necessarily good for us. Is that to be your Trespasser? Is there any creep? If not, so they're going to exile cards of. They're at 5 though. Oh. We'll go up to 6. Make another rat. We'll exile another card. Attack here. The creatures can't block, of course we'll attack. We'll just go ahead and sack our food and gain our life. Tortoise. So it wanted to tap our Cottage here, but we want to be incredibly careful because I don't think we actually have to. Take a damage here. We'll take a damage here. Black and then black. The reason why we don't have to is because this will allow our Cottage to activate for 1 less mana. So now we can actually crew it up. Because this reduces our land activations by 1, plus it's now slightly bigger, so it can't be chumped here. We double attack. Get this. We go to our graveyard because we saw us exile 2 creatures. We'll put them at 4. We'll get their other Liliana out of the way. Now they're forced to block both. So they'll take the trade while they can. Now we're left behind with a land in our 3/3 Tortoise. If they draw land, we win. If they draw something maybe not too relevant, we also win. We get to pull it out there. Tortoise actually coming in huge there. Kind of being a value card, milled over the extra damage that we needed with our Graveyard Trespasser to force them to block. We get to go first. I don't mind Restless Cottage near as much whenever we have it as our first line drop in the game. It just sometimes can be slightly annoying in the late game. We like it here, of course. Also, it's been instrumental to us winning games in the past, so good turn 1 drop into a turn 2 and 3, and then we have like a nice little curve here. Swiss Spear coming down, going to hit us for 1 down to 19. Can hold this beside you. You never know when we might have to blow up a Kamano or a just a 3 drop that like gives extra damage. Raging Mouse. What a card. So weirdly enough, we're gonna go ahead and take the 1 here because we have to get rid of this mouse. We can't allow them to generate an exponential amount of value, putting extra counters on stuff. If you haven't seen this before, I'll highlight it now. As Celebration, it's beginning combat on your turn. If 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under control, creature gets a 1/1 until end of turn. So it can kind of help in terms of like being a prowess creature. We'll play Trespasser, one of the hardest cards for mono red to beat. Because even if they have to remove this, it takes 2 cards from their hand, plus gains this little life, and also makes them turn off their turn. Although, that's a hard card for us to beat. Guess we'll just jump this, no big deal. No? Seiju might have to blow this up in the future. So, we can... I think just playing a Shieldred now might be important enough. We'll attack for 3. Need our go for the throat. Green to go down to 14. Shieldred will not be blocking Forge. We don't want to give him any opportunity to Lightning Strike or Shieldred. Another Forge. That's not good. The Lightning Strike is off the table now. They attack with if they attack with Swiss Spear, it tells me it's a play with fire, or it could be a rage. Monstrous Rage. So do we just block the 1 here? Well, this doesn't have prowess, so this will get +2. Yeah, we'll block the 2. Should be fine. Just get sacked, they go away. Doesn't have any way to clean those up, I don't believe. Where's each creature? Return up to 2 cards from the graveyard. Each opponent sacks a creature with the highest power. Put 2/1 counters and gain lifelink. So, I mean, overall, that's pretty good. So we can kind of do a wombo combo here. We'll destroy each creature with 2. We'll give our things a counter and lifelink. I'll make it my graveyard trespasser, I think, because as the game goes on, it's going to be much harder to remove. Unless they have the monstrous rage here and they decided not to cash in, but they let this resolve, so put 2/1 counters on up to 1 creature. Yeah, okay. Lifelink. We have these going. They'll come in and eat a card in their graveyard, so we get a little bit more life. Plus a little bit more damage. Set them down to 4. We have on them on a turn 2 clock with Shieldred alone, and we're all the way up to 24. We have a go for the throat plus an attack with the Restless Cottage coming up. Oh man, I want to play with Godric so bad, but Mono Red, in terms of filming stuff, does not do well, and this deck is definitely putting forth the damage. It's really sweet. It's definitely a different style of deck, and I appreciate that. Godric, I think, is severely underrated on how valuable this card can be. It is just a monstrous 3 mana drop, especially whenever Kamano is your first spell that you lead your game off with. Opponent goes first, and we do have quite the cool hand. We don't get to play Lily on our Shieldred technically with how his hand's curved out, but it will be fun. Maybe. Could be an aggro deck. Shut up. It should be fine. Go. Oh. Oh, is this Yada and the blue white 2/3 or 2/4 flash creature? I don't think I allowed them to untap this Giada though, because it's also an angel, so we'll take it out now. Just need to kind of get this Gix command and not allow them to get too massive here. Let us see it. Why is the steel? I'll see it. Like, why is the steel Seraph so bold? Like, look at this. What is happening? Lizards, there's a problem with your video game. Please help. Alright, Liliana, it'll be a distraction.
This is my home.
Make them sack the creatures. No, of course, keep the Steel Seraph around. They're hopeful Initiate will go, but that's less damage overall in the long run. Our Steel Seraph can just attack us down a little bit. Maybe not our funnest play of all time. Give it lifelink. Attacker Lily doing its job. Senate Dragon.
Delay, nothing more.
A little bit of a weird spot because of course we'd like to play it as it is a flyer, but we would like to cycle it sometimes as well to get cards out of their deck, but they're playing the only 2 cards we don't play, which would require us to get the treasures. Unless of course we hit a land from them. We're just going to play it down as a 4/4 flyer that can attack and make a treasure. Then next turn we might be able to Gix command, might not. They might be playing Make Disappear this deck. If it is the blue-white flash one, flash flying angel one, they do play some counter spells we saw there with Syncopate. Back to this. We find a way to remove it because go for the throat's not going to be an answer. I guess Gix command can do both, but hopefully they tap out. Play a creature with 2 or 4 power. 2 to 4. Or the force. So we're gonna bait another spell. We're gonna bait a Shieldred out. We need the Gix command to resolve. It's just a recruitment officer activation. Oh, another Syncopate. Can't have a third one, right, team? Another land comes down. Feels like they want to play this last card, Made to Deal. Play on the small side. You have to be able to answer one of these because X-Man won't be able to deal both. Doesn't have roots. Okay. That kind of does it. I have to play this land down. We need to keep progressing. Destroy each creature with power 2 or less. Return up to 2 creatures you opponent sacrifices. Only return creatures, not a planeswalker clause on there. Do one part, and then we'll take out another one. Now we're left with the 3/3, in which our Virtue can take out, and we can play a Soul Windgrace. Hopeful Initiate coming in after. Merix is also a possibility activation. We're kind of grinding. This boldness on the Steel Seraph is messing me up. It's like so upsetting to look at. Another Shieldred to come in after that's going to be massive. Get our black mana from here. We don't have a pain land, so it shouldn't tap anything in a funky way that doesn't allow us to cast our Windgrace here. Take out this. We're gonna make a token. So be it. They have a land in there. They do not. We could just play a Shieldred instead. Have it help gain us our life back, but I think if we draw lands, we want to have the Windgrace in play. No lands anywhere. Because then we can discard and gain indestructible, or we can use it to draw a card, or we can use it to gain 3 life. We're all the way at 34, so we have quite the long game. I know they've been giving that thing lifelink, but I have no idea how they got to 34. These have been giving each other lifelink. They're not broken in the graveyard. Why was it just in play? I know I'm focusing a lot on that. That's not a weird thing to just be focusing on, but it is what it is. Playing a Shieldred. We have 2 mana. It's just another Syncopate. Make this appear. I will pay the 2. Did they mess up? Did they mean to sack the Merix token? That's a sad way for this game to end. It always sucks when you have like a good game like that and it ends kind of tragically. So they had it perfectly fine. Like they definitely just sacrificed the Merix and they're good. But what it is. All right, team, we're going to talk about the deck a little bit and how we enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. This deck has been the mid-range fun game that I've enjoyed. I know green black is kind of like the menace in the format right now, and it kind of hinges off of mono black being such a villain for a really long time, and green black kind of feels like the same deck but just like different in a small amount of way. So we went and kind of uploaded a Jund package to it. The same way we did with Abzan. We tried Thalia in that deck, but now we're going to be trying Descendant Dragon and Soul of Windgrace. Realistically, this card was really good today. We went up against Mono Black, and it produced a lot of value from them because we were able to play a land from them, play a creature, while also playing a Glissa that helped us prevent ourselves from losing to a Liliana, which was really sweet. Plus, it can just do that in most matchups where it gets kind of grindy. But then we play it for a creature, so it is that 2-for-1 card, and in the Adventure Zone is protected from a Liliana, so they can't really make us discard it. If it is our last card, we can get our value, kind of tuck it away, and use it later. Then the other thing we tried to do is use kind of these 3 cards in a tandem together. Now, obviously, Graveyard Trespasser makes that a little bit awkward, but this card's so valuable in best of 1 against things like Mono Red, along with like Virtue of Persistence, that I like play 3 no matter what. This is one of my favorite cards in this color combination whenever I'm playing it. Obviously I hate playing against it, but I love it. It takes 2 cards to remove, unless of course it gets hit with the Shieldred's Edict. But the synergy between these 3 right here is kind of what I really enjoy. We saw Blossoming Turtle coming in massively in one of our matchups, allowing us to play it. Mill 2 creatures that our Graveyard Trespasser could then exile to do 2 damage, and then reduce the payment cost of, where are you at, of Restless Cottage. This is normally 4 mana to do, but with the Blossoming Turtle in play, it's 3. So we were actually able to activate this after playing the Tortoise. When it was trying to tap our mana a little bit funny, it actually wanted to tap the Cottage because Arena doesn't see, like, in the future, just evaluates that board state as it is. So it was going to tap this for a mana, so we had to watch out for that. And if you want to pick up the deck, even if you don't play like John, you just play green black with the tortoise in it, you have to watch out for that little type of stuff where it will tap your man lands, thinking you won't be able to activate them, so it'll just use them to be a little bit more efficient, because what it wanted to do was hold up the Triumph. It makes sense because it has the most color combinations, but it didn't really matter at the time. The other thing that's very nice in the deck is Shieldred as a one of has always felt pretty solid. I've never been like too upset to have it. Of course, there's times where it sucks, like you would rather draw the one of Gix command or something like that, or like maybe a Shieldred. Saying Shieldred sucks because you need to draw Shieldred. Great commentary. But this card has always felt good and valuable, especially whenever you go against something that has Ward, where it just forces them to sacrifice it. And also, like, against a Liliana, it's a good top deck. Like, sometimes when you draw it, you can just play it, make them sack their Lily. They don't get to interact with this, and they're forced to maybe play another one. Other than that, we have our removal package over here, the cut down, the go for the third, Shieldred's Edict. I kind of changed these around in a Terra Sunder, which is kind of like good, but good in cases. But it was 3, 3, and 1. I cut this down to 2 and went to 2 here because, again, like how popular green black is and trying to face off against these and other things that are a little bit too big for cut down to deal with, as that's kind of happened more recently as we go into more mid-rangey late game strategies. Cut down gets progressively worse. So I went with the Edict, plus it's valuable in taking out planeswalkers, especially in best of one, where they're kind of hard to deal with. Where this gives us multiple options, this gives us less options. So I went with Shieldred's Edict over it. And then just playing 3 of the most solid green-black cards to be printed and 4 of the new Mosswood Dead Knights. A little bit longer of an outro here. I really like this deck. There's a lot of going on. Hopefully that was captured in the games watched there. We are on 26 lands. That's something to think about. You might be able to find ways to cut it down to fit maybe a couple extra cards in. Maybe not play Soul Windgrace and just play the Descendant Dragon or something along those lines. Maybe find room for another red card in the deck. You could argue to play the... Where's he at? Boy. Could argue to play this instead. Maybe of Soul Windgrace, Questing Druid. And as just like an earlier game beefy creature. But the only problem is casting its backside can sometimes backfire in this deck, as some of your cards are way too expensive that wheeling them going to feel pretty bad. So you're most of the time, anytime early, you were just hard cast that, and you lose the value pretty quickly there. So I valued playing something like Graveyard Trespasser and Naglissa more than the Questing Druid. I've also said Questing Beast. Mama, don't bring that card back. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I definitely enjoy playing this deck a lot. And it feels pretty good most of the time anyway as well. And it's really grindy, and I like that. So other than that, I'll just let you out of here. See ya.